All right, hello there, welcome back to another wee bit different video. Today's video, Start Bench Cut episode 2. If you haven't seen episode 1, we got some hot takes, some cold takes nonetheless. I gotta preface every one of these videos with, of course, these are opinions based. If you disagree or agree, feel free to let me know in the comments, as long as it's respectful. And here's the thing, I don't mind if you guys have a strong opinion, totally cool. I love hearing it. You wanna know why? Because at the end of the day, that's what we do this for. It's all about for the love of the game. Anyway, let's get right to it. Start bench cut. We have Jarrett Allen, Miles Turner, Bam Adebayo. I think this one's relatively easy for me, and then I'm starting Bam Adebayo. Okay. Now with this next one, this is interesting because in the regular season, they just play two different roles. Yes, they're both centers, but let's be honest. Jarrett Allen's not a scorer like Miles Turner is. On the flip side, Miles Turner isn't a conventional center like Jarrett Allen is, where already 34% of people agree with me. Some people really put 49% of people put Jarrett Allen over Miles Turner. For me, it's as simple as Miles Turner has proven more. He is a better paint protector with 2 blocks per game as opposed to Jarrett Allen. The one thing about Jarrett Allen that you can really say is he's a significantly better rebounder. What's the rebounding stats? I gotta pull this up real quick. Miles Turner is averaging, hold it still, 6 rebounds a game. Jarrett Allen's going to be averaging at least 10. So, I mean, I did mention it earlier. You're getting 2 different centers, even though they're both centers. Jarrett Allen, though, is averaging 9.7. I'm still taking Miles Turner, keeping it going. Isaiah Thomas, Chris Paul, Jason Kidd. You know, the shitty thing about this is Chris Paul, Isaiah Thomas, Jason Kidd are all really good point guards, but they're all very different timelines. So Chris Paul is 2010s mostly. Jason Kidd is 2000s mostly. Isaiah Thomas is 80s, right? 80? No. He's also early 90s as well. I definitely have a bias here. I think everyone's going to have a bias when making these decisions. But I've always been a fan of Chris Paul being one of the smartest basketball players on the court and just seeing the game differently. Isaiah Thomas, physical player with really good handles. I think he's one of the OG players who everyone thought, man, this guy has like the best handles ever. Oh, man, Jesus. I don't feel great about this. You can go either way. I'm going to start Chris Paul. They're just... I don't feel great about this. Honestly, I really don't. This is one of those where I'm just like thinking, oh God. Isaiah Thomas surely will be picked more though. Yeah, Isaiah Thomas is 47%. My biggest gripe, I shouldn't say gripe. My biggest thing when making these decisions is I always keep in mind the evolution of basketball. I understand that's not everyone's thought process, but it's my thought process. 20 years from now, I believe there will be a better player than players today. 40 years from now, definitely there will be better players. So my thought process is basketball is always evolving. However, who is greater in their era? I would not even be disturbed for anyone to say Isaiah Thomas. It's just for me, I'm a big believer in basketball being ever evolving. This one was not easy though. Tim Duncan, Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal. 3 very different roles from all these players. We're talking about a point guard, a center, and a 4. And Tim Duncan being Mr. Fundamentals. Shaq being dominant as hell. Magic being Magic. There's a reason why his nickname is Magic. So this is probably the hardest one. Because who the fuck do you cut here? I'm cutting Tim Duncan. That's who I'm cutting. As great of a player as he is, I can't start him over a dominant Shaquille O'Neal or an all-around Magic Johnson outside of the 3-point shot. It's the only thing Magic Johnson lacked was a 3-point shot. I'm going to go ahead and start... damn, this is tough. This is really freaking tough. God damn it. 2 Laker players as well. I'm also a Laker fan, for those who don't know. For those of you that have been around, you already know. I've mentioned it a billion times. This is really crazy. We're going to go with Arguably the most dominant player of all time. I don't like this. I don't like this. This is a really good one. Magic or Shaq? Oh, damn, bro. Damn, we're gonna go Shaq. I gotta do it. Back to back to back. I gotta go Shaq. Magic second. Yeah, that wasn't easy, dude. That was not easy. 29% of people did Magic, Tim, Shaq. 19 did Tim, Magic, Shaq. 19 did Shaq, Magic, Tim. This was really, really difficult. I understand Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamental, literally being able to dominate in the mid-range shot, dominate in the post, also be really, really strong defender. But for me, the dominance of Shaq just reigns supreme. If you were to pick Magic first too, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these guys. This is just an insane list of guys right here. Jordan Poole, Drew Holiday, Jalen Green. Drew Holiday is the easy start. Jalen Green over Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole cut. I think this one's probably the easiest one. However, some people would still rather start Jordan Poole second. I think the biggest differential for me from Jalen Green to Jordan Poole is Jalen Green was arguably the second best player on his team this past year. First was probably Sengun. Jordan Poole on the Wizards, right? That's not much. Before on the Warriors, had his lackluster year, which sent him to the Washington Wizards. Give me Jalen Green instead. I think Jalen Green has so much more value in the league as well. Jordan Poole being second is pretty crazy, but keeping it going. This is a really good one. Lou Dort, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith. Wow, this is really good. A lot of people would lean towards Lou Dort to start, and the biggest reason there is, he's really, really good defender. But I think a lot of it is he's just put in the right place. If you swapped Nembhard for Dort, Nembhard is a better shooter and a less dirty defender, but the way he was playing Shea in the playoffs too was so good. Aaron Nesmith's kind of in that same boat. This is a hot take. This is an extremely hot take. But I like Nembhard to start here. Honestly, I think Lou's just in a phenomenal situation. If you put Lou Dort on the Pacers, he's not looking that good because his team's not as good as the Thunder is. It's just the reality of it, in my opinion. I'm doing the hot take here. I'm going with Nembhard. Nesmith is a phenomenal shooter as well. I think Lou Dort's defense is just too valuable, though, compared to Nesmith. You could go any way with this one. I mean, 43% of people agreed with me, so I didn't have that much of a hot take. Okay. I honestly thought this would be a hot take because Lou Dort's a champion. People are going to have that mindset of, oh, man, how are you not going to pick the reigning champ? But all right, I'm not in the what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm not in the minority. I hate doing these ones because it's 2025 and I'm a believer in evolution of basketball. You guys heard my rant earlier in this video. How could I not start Jokic being the most revolutionary center? Because centers don't dribble, centers don't shoot, centers don't pass. Ideally, right? When I say ideally, I mean traditionally. You look at Hakeem and he embodies what a traditional center is. Phenomenal paint protector, right? Phenomenal in the post. Phenomenal rebounder. I mean, scoring is not a problem. Defense is not a problem. But Hakeem never passed like Jokic. Never dribbled like Jokic either. Not to say Jokic has the craziest handles, but you're not going to see Hakeem dribble from up and down the court. It's just not happening. But the evolution of basketball, we see that now. Jokic does that. And then Bird is Bird. Dominated the 80s along with Magic Johnson. I'm starting Jokic. Again, my opinion is my opinion in that I'm a believer in the evolution of basketball. However, I will say, also, I do need to preface this with, in terms of their eras, which is hard to compare because I already just compared the centers, and that's just really difficult to talk about. In terms of how would this guy do here, how would this guy do here. But Larry Bird was extremely dominant in his era, more so than a lot of today's players in their respective era. So credit to where credit's due. I'm going to give Bird the bench. What I think this is going to turn out to be, I think people are going to start Bird, bench Olajuwon, cut Jokic. I'm starting Jokic. That's genuinely how I feel. And yeah, 46% of people starting Bird, benching Hakeem, cutting Jokic. No, I totally disagree. I will not, under any circumstances, cut, in my opinion, the most revolutionary center. Just being able to do quite literally everything. The only knock on his game is his paint protection. That's all anyone can really say. There's no other knock on his game. Keeping it going. Next. De'Aaron Fox, Trae Young, John Morant. I'm gonna go with start Trae Young. John Morant's too much of a head case. His ego is just, it seems to get in his own way. And then he's injured all the time. Now, I know the start bench cut is probably not taking injuries into consideration or egos into consideration. It's them at their best. But it's kind of hard to see John Morant at his best when you just don't see it because of the things I just mentioned. I got to cut De'Aaron, but I just don't feel right, again, with everything that's going on with Ja. We're starting Trae Young, though. He's consistently there, consistently doing what he does. 33% of people agree with me. Yeah, I don't blame the people that cut Ja at all. You know, it's one of those things to where ego and availability is a huge deal. Andre Iguodala, Paolo Banchero, DeMar DeRozan. It's hard to say anything bad about Iguodala because, you know, he was part of the Warriors dynasty. He was never the best player or the second best player, but he was a pivotal role. Also, him in his prime was really, really solid. So him being on here makes it really tough for me. DeMar DeRozan, I'm cutting. DeMar DeRozan to me is not a winning basketball player at all. If I have to say start, as in this is the best player on my team, I'm starting Paolo Banchero. If I have to say start in terms of a player who's going to complement the rest of the team, I'm saying Andre Iguodala. They just fit two different roles. You're talking about a guy like Paolo who needs to be the best player on his team because he's that kind of caliber player. But if you put Paolo on a team to complement these other stars, he's not going to be as good as Andre Iguodala. Andre Iguodala is the ultimate glue guy where he's just going to do everything. He's going to get his hands dirty with the defense. He's going to be able to offensively, you know, adjust to whoever he's around. Paolo needs the ball in his hand to do what he does. So this is just a tale of two stories. Are we talking about the best player, or are we talking about the player that you want to start to complement other players? Now, I know Andre Iguodala went through his own prime with the Sixers, but I just think Paolo Banchero is just really that good. I'm going to start Paolo, but this is one of those things to where context is needed. Anyone that starts Iguodala, I have no problem with at all. And DeMar DeRozan getting the second nod here is kind of crazy. I'm just a believer that DeMar DeRozan is not a winning player at all. I'd much rather bench Andre Iguodala. Much rather bench him. I mean, 50% of people agree with me. To the 40 that put DeMar DeRozan bench, I'm sorry. DeMar DeRozan is not a winning player in my opinion. Tracy McGrady, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, James Harden. You know, the one thing that separates one player from the rest is one player has a championship and did it as the best player. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is getting the start. And to me, this is not particularly close now, just because you got a guy who won MVP, won Finals MVP, and won the championship. Something neither of these two did. It's important. It's really important. James Harden, though, at one point averaged like 34 points a game with the Rockets or some crazy shit like that. T-Mac, as good as he is, James Harden did it for longer and more efficiently. When I say more efficiently, I mean just honestly more points, more assists. That's what it boils down to. T-Mac is going to get a lot of love. He is, but his career injuries played a role, unfortunately, where these two hasn't played a role, hopefully at all, but not yet at least. 32% of people agree with me. Wow. James Harden is picked first 32% of the time. I just can't do that. James Harden is a notorious person. He's notorious for not showing up in the biggest moments in the playoffs. All right, greatly appreciate you guys for watching. There was some serious difficult ones to pick through. Let me know what you think. Honestly, this was probably a really tough call for a lot of these. Like I said though, appreciate you guys. Feel free to like, subscribe, goes a long way to help the channel. As always, this is All We've Been Different, and we out.